In creating Flower Communion, Chapek sought not only to bring native beauty and variety of springtime into the church, but to open hearts and minds within his congregation to the beauty and variety of all the colors, shapes, and kinds of humanity. This seemingly benign sentiment would earn Chapek a death sentence. In 1941, he was arrested by the Gestapo. His books and his sermons were confiscated. Chapek was later found, according to Nazi court records, too dangerous to be allowed to live. His crime? Love. What this story tells me, what this story reminds me of, is that this faith is dangerous to many of the powers that be in this world. To honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person is a daring and sacred act, an act of rebellion, one we cannot take for granted. Chapek lived a revolutionary faith in a world running low on hope. We live that faith today. There is another story being told in Christian churches around the world today, a story of another man whose greatest crime was love, who met a cruel fate at the hands of an oppressive regime. Another story that lives on in the hearts and lives of those who believe in his lessons. And in that transforming, subversive, radical love. In those churches, they will speak today of resurrection, of coming back from the dead and coming into new life. We will speak of resurrection too today. And there is more than one kind of resurrection. The seed that lays dormant, the twigs that seem dead after a hard frost, the brown grasses of winter, the dry leaves that blow away and leave tree branches bare. These are each a tiny resurrection in the making. Fun fact, you can only write the word resurrection so many times before you start to wonder if there is a word surrection, because how can you resurrect if you can't surrect, right? So there is, but it's very obscure. And it comes from the French, and it's a geological term for the upheaval of a land mass, which I love. We also affirm that there is more than one kind of upheaval. After such a surrection as we have experienced in the last couple of years, to say nothing of insurrection, but that's another topic altogether. Sort of, not really, but kind of. After such a surrection as we have experienced, the question becomes, how will we rise again? It is a rare gift to be given the chance to make choices about how we want to live in medias res. It's an English lit term, in the middle of things. It's a rare gift to start again. But in some ways, that is a gift that we have been given, although we would never have chosen to pay the price. What will grow after this full yet fallow season? We have looked for hope and new life wherever we could find it. Sometimes in chickens, sometimes in home gardens, sometimes in more trips to the woods than we took before. Sometimes in new relationships, sometimes in new habits, new hobbies. And in love. We cling to love, that dangerous thing, because we know its power. We cling to each other because we know that it is in our care for each other that love blooms in the world. But blossoms don't start that way. They begin as tiny things, seeds buried in a dark, cold earth. And we may feel more like seeds than flowers sometimes. That's fine. That's great. Not every day is a blooming season. But the love symbolized by the flower, the richness and color coming to fruition only after a long wait, all of those exist in the seed as surely as they exist in our dark moments. We come together to celebrate both the seed and the flower, knowing that something is germinating underground. A new world is waiting to spring to life. Where will you find resurrection today? I want to share a poem with you written by Emily Kedar. It's just titled Seeds. I don't know what this choice will lead to, or the one I made yesterday, or even that one 5 years ago when I walked away. I don't know how hardy this vine will be, how productive, how sweet her fruit. I only know that these seeds are the ones in my hand, and this soil at my feet is longing to be a dark agent of transformation. She was always meant to be. What good gardener would waste the gift of seed for a sliver of doubt wedged inside her mind? I want dirt under my fingernails and all my seed packets empty.